Hi, I'm Bonnie Cox, founder and president of Power Training Institute. A couple of weeks ago, I was discussing with a group of managers what their biggest challenges were when it comes to dealing with their employees. These folks were all managers from all over different kinds of companies, different departments, huge variety of industries. Interestingly, there was a common problem they all faced, and it was this. Some of their employees play the victim. I'm sure you've heard about these victim statements before. They sound like, "That's not my fault," "Well, who messed up now?" And if there's an error or a deadline missed, whatever it is, they've got an excuse. Nothing is ever their fault. Or what about, "Don't blame me"? It's a go-to response for employees who play victims when they're receiving negative feedback or criticism about their performance. They don't want to hear about how they could improve or change. They want to maintain the status quo. They're comfortable there and they want to stay there. But you see, if you're a manager, you've heard it all before. You've heard the excuses, the blame shifting, the woe is me wailing. Employees with victim mentalities are a huge cost for you. They're a drain on energy, your time, your resources. They're costing you a fortune in lost productivity. But what I've seen all too often is that managers just don't want to deal with victims. They don't want to confront the mentality, and to make sure that it has no place in the organization, they just leave it be. Instead, they'll let the behavior slide. That only reinforces the employee's behavior and encourages them to keep up the patterns and scripts of a victim because it's working for them. So what can you do? There's 3 imperative steps that you must take, or else the victim employees will stick around and keep costing you a lot of money. Number 1, the first is that you have to understand the needs of your team. Employees play the victim to get an unmet need met. The first step is eliminating victim mentality is to understand what is that possible unmet need. If employees feel that they're getting their basic needs met, they feel valued, they feel respected, they feel competent, and they can be treated fairly, then they're going to be much less likely to fall into a victim mode. Next, you have to identify the specific victim behaviors. Remember, you need tangible examples of what the employee either says or does. Unfortunately, you can't just say, "Well, Sam has a bad attitude today." That kind of broad statement is too ambiguous and it won't hold up in court. You need to nail down the specifics. This is what I heard, this is what I saw, this is what I saw you do. And finally, you need to create agreements with your team. You need to have candid conversations about victim behaviors and the consequences of those behaviors, not only on your team and your company, but how they affect morale and performance. Remember, behavior unaddressed is behavior unchanged. So come up with methods for stopping victim behaviors and replace them with ownership and responsibility. Ultimately, the performance of your team is your responsibility as a manager. So just like employees that play the need to be the victim, they need to step up and accept responsibility. You need to take responsibility for your team and their needs and their results. So call us today, 805-456-5227, or visit us online at www.powertraining.biz, B-I-Z. We guarantee that we can give managers the skills they need to stop victim behaviors in their tracks in their departments.